free speech implications with this, and this is a tangled story, but Mark Zuckerberg came out in the face of criticism that Facebook's algorithm played a role in the election of Donald Trump, and said basically that was silly. Well, screw you, Mark Zuckerberg. It's not silly. The only thing that is silly is you saying it is silly. Eli Parzer wrote a book called The Filter Bubble back in 2011. And basically made the point that people now have the technology to just get the information that agrees with their worldview. Well, now that was theory back then. Now we've seen it in action. There's a lot of factors, many factors, that led to Trump's electoral college victory, but to dismiss Facebook's role as silly is itself silly. You start with a candidate who openly courted hate groups. They feel empowered. Hate's a powerfully motivating emotion. The Breitbarts and the Stormfronts of the world understand how Facebook's newsfeed algorithm favors engagement. They also understand that people respond to emotionally charged headlines. And they further understand how Facebook's advertising works to target audiences that are most likely to engage with their articles. And they use that knowledge to boost engagements via Facebook advertising, then let the newsfeed take over, the newsfeed algorithm take over to promote it organically. It's not just hate groups that understand how this works, the gaming of Facebook's algorithms. There's kids in other countries who are putting up fake news sites and using Facebook's advertising to drive traffic to their sites to earn money from advertising. The Washington Post interviewed a guy who runs parody sites like The Onion and was posting articles with insane headlines that he thought everyone would take for the satire it was. But then he complained that some Trump supporters just don't fact check. They were sharing his articles as the real thing. He's afraid that he contributed to the election of Trump himself, and he hates Trump. Trump himself has credited Facebook and Twitter for his victory, according to Next Web article by Mix. Facebook had a chance to deal with this. We've talked about this before, a chance to deal with this before the election, but they caved to conservatives, according to a Gizmodo article by Michael Nunez. And then they fired their human editors for the news feed, for the trending topics. But Facebook now actually has an incentive to do something about it because major advertisers are being targeted with fake news. This is from a Vox article by Matthew Yglesias. Pepsi is being boycotted by Trump supporters because of a fake news story that said its CEO told Trump supporters to take their business elsewhere, which he never said. She never said, sorry. So in addition to it being a disaster for democracy, the algorithm is a new public relations problem many of us are going to need to deal with. But again, satire sites, if Facebook changes its algorithm to get rid of these fake news sites, they run the risk of getting rid of satire sites like The Onion as well. So there is a free speech implication in this story, but to say that Facebook didn't have a role in Trump's election is ridiculous. I'm working on a longer article about many different factors that I'll include in the show notes if I finish it in time.
Well, the thing is, it's here to stay, and we have a president-elect who doesn't fact check his tweets. And so his story that he told, his outright lie that he told about how he's keeping Ford from closing a plant and sending that to Mexico, that plant was never going to close. And once he says it, and all those people pick up on it, and all the bots pick up on it, because he has a huge network, hundreds of thousands of bots, tweets going out over and over and over, like something like 2,500 a minute. And the big problem, we've talked about this a lot, on Twitter, a problem is definitely that people are not made to use their real name. And on Facebook, it is just that, we are in an echo chamber. We do listen to people who have our views, but the stuff that comes up as news there, nobody checks on it. They just spread it. And I did one last week myself. And, I got yelled at. But, and I do check, and I triple check. But, sometimes they just get you because it looks so legitimate. That's really the issue. And, these sites are built just for the purpose of being landing pages for these stories. This is like an industry. This is not going away.
Yeah, but there are ways of dealing with it. There are things that you can implement to deal with it. Facebook has earns money from people spending advertising promoting these fake stories. So there's also an incentive for them not to do something about it. But
Well, take a look at hashtag boycott Pepsi and see what's happened with that.
that's what I'm saying. When the
Yeah.
advertisers start having to deal with this crap, that's maybe gives them more of an incentive to do something.